In the quiet village of Mbale, where traditions ran deep and secrets were whispered beneath ancient baobab trees, a young woman named Nia prepared for her wedding. Nia was known for her beauty and grace, her laughter a melody that brought joy to all who heard it. Her fiancé, Darius, was a traveler who had stumbled into the village years ago, winning hearts with his charm and winning Nia's with his unwavering devotion. But the night before their wedding, Nia's grandmother, Mama Sula, sat alone under the ancestral tree, her wrinkled hands trembling. She muttered to herself, her voice barely audible over the rustling leaves. They must never know. The bloodline must remain hidden. The tree's roots seemed to twist unnaturally, as if the earth itself held the weight of a dark secret. The villagers revered the ancient baobab tree at the center of Mbale. Its massive trunk bore carvings of generations past, each etching a testament to the lineage of the village. On the morning of the wedding, Nia's mother, Zola, went to the tree to offer prayers for her daughter's union. As she knelt, the wind picked up, carrying with it a haunting sound, a low whisper that seemed to emanate from the tree itself. "The truth lies beneath," the voice seemed to say. Startled, Zola looked around, but the village was quiet. The whisper lingered in her mind, casting a shadow over the joyous day. The village square was alive with celebration. Drummers played jubilant rhythms as Nia, adorned in a gown of woven gold and ivory, stepped into the light. Darius, dressed in ceremonial robes, waited for her at the altar. The elder, Baba Kofi, began the marriage rites, his voice steady and firm. "Before the ancestors, we bind these two as one," he intoned, raising his hands to the sky. But as the vows were exchanged, a sudden gust of wind extinguished the ceremonial flames. The villagers murmured uneasily. Mama Sula's face turned pale as she clutched her chest. Baba Kofi hesitated before continuing. "It is unusual, but the ancestors sometimes send signs," he said, trying to reassure the crowd. Yet Mama Sula's trembling intensified. She stood abruptly, her voice cracking as she shouted, "Stop this wedding. It cannot be." The crowd fell silent, eyes wide with shock. Nia turned to her grandmother, confusion and fear etched on her face. "Mama, what are you saying?" she whispered. But Mama Sula only shook her head, her eyes brimming with tears. Under the scrutiny of the gathered villagers, Mama Sula's voice quivered as she spoke. "Darius, tell them your full name." Darius' brow furrowed, but he complied. "My name is Darius Ajani," he said confidently. Mama Sula's knees buckled. "Ajani," she whispered. The same bloodline, gasps erupted from the crowd. The name Ajani was a cursed lineage, long believed to have vanished. Baba Kofi stepped forward, his face grim. The Ajani family was exiled generations ago for crimes against their ancestors. "If this is true, their union is forbidden," he declared. Darius stared at the elder, his confidence waning. "What crimes?" he demanded. "Blood crimes," Baba Kofi replied. "Their betrayal led to the death of a chief, and their name was erased from the ancestral tree." Determined to uncover the truth, Nia and Darius approached the baobab tree that night. Nia placed her hands on the bark, feeling a strange warmth beneath her fingers. "Show us the truth," she whispered. The carvings on the tree began to glow faintly, revealing hidden symbols. A vision emerged, a violent feud between two brothers, one of whom was an Ajani. The betrayal led to bloodshed that cursed the family line. Nia stepped back, her heart pounding. "What does this mean for us?" she asked, her voice shaking. When confronted, Mama Sula confessed a harrowing truth. "Your mother was adopted into the Ajani family before we hid her origins to protect her," she revealed to Nia. "And Darius, he is the son of the last Ajani exile." The revelation shattered them. Darius' face darkened as he realized the depth of their connection. "Are we related?" he whispered. The revelation disturbed the ancestral tree. At midnight, the villagers were awakened by an eerie sound, the groaning of the baobab. Its roots pushed through the earth, revealing skeletal remains entwined in the roots. Baba Kofi declared, "The ancestors demand atonement." To break the curse, Nia and Darius were tasked to retrieve a lost relic from the sacred caves, an artifact stolen by the Ajani ancestor. Armed with courage, they embarked on a journey fraught with danger and revelation. The journey to the sacred caves was treacherous. Dense forests surrounded the village, filled with the cries of nocturnal creatures and the distant howls of unknown beasts. Nia and Darius moved cautiously, guided only by a lantern and the directions Baba Kofi had provided. Inside the caves, the air grew cold and heavy. Strange carvings adorned the walls, telling stories of forgotten rituals and the wrath of the ancestors. Darius held Nia's hand tightly. "Whatever lies ahead, we face it together," he whispered. Nia nodded, summoning courage from his words. Deep within the cave, they encountered a figure cloaked in shadows. Its voice echoed, neither male nor female, but a blend of many tones. "Why have you disturbed the sanctity of the sacred caves?" it demanded. Nia stepped forward, her voice steady. "We seek to atone for the sins of the Ajani bloodline. Please, show us the way." The guardian's eyes glowed faintly as it studied them. "Your intentions are pure, but the path to redemption is fraught with trials. Are you prepared to face the truth?" Darius and Nia exchanged a determined glance. Together, they replied, "We are ready." The guardian stepped aside, revealing a narrow passageway illuminated by faint, flickering light. "Your first trial is the trial of reflection," the guardian intoned. "Enter and confront the truths you fear the most." As Nia and Darius entered, they found themselves surrounded by mirrors. Each reflection showed distorted versions of themselves, Nia as a child being scolded by her mother, Darius as a man consumed by guilt and loneliness. The mirrors whispered, "You cannot escape your past." Nia reached out, her fingers trembling, to touch one of the mirrors. Suddenly, a voice boomed, "Only by embracing your truth can you shatter the illusions." With trembling voices, they spoke their fears aloud, and the mirrors shattered, leaving them in darkness once more. Emerging from the darkness, they found a flowing river, its waters shimmering with the faces of those long gone. The guardian reappeared. "This is the river of memories. To cross, you must release the burdens you carry." As they waded into the water, images of their ancestors surrounded them. Nia saw Mama Sula, younger and burdened by the truth she had hidden for decades. Darius saw his father, a man exiled and broken. The shimmering faces in the river grew more vivid as Nia and Darius pressed forward. The water was icy, and the currents pulled at their legs as if trying to drag them back. Darius saw a vision of his mother, cradling him as an infant. Her face was streaked with tears as she whispered, "They can never know who you are." Nia paused, her breath catching as she saw her grandmother, Mama Sula, arguing with Zola. "We cannot tell her. The truth will destroy her." Mama Sula shouted. The voices echoed around Nia and Darius, growing louder until they became unbearable. The water surged, and a booming voice commanded, "Let go of the burdens you carry, or you shall not pass." Tears streamed down Nia's face as she clutched Darius' hand. "I forgive Mama Sula," she whispered, "for hiding the truth. For the lies. She did it because she loved us." The river's pull weakened slightly, but it wasn't enough. Darius hesitated, his jaw clenched. "I forgive my father for abandoning me," he said finally. "He was lost, just like I am now." As the words left his lips, the water began to glow, calming the currents. The voices faded, replaced by a deep silence. The river's surface shimmered with golden light, and a pathway appeared, leading them to the other side. On the other side of the river stood a massive stone gate, etched with intricate carvings of the ancestors. The guardian reappeared, its form flickering like a shadow. "You have passed the trial of reflection and the trial of release. Now comes the final test, the trial of sacrifice." Nia's heart sank. "What more can we give?" she asked. The guardian pointed to the center of the gate, where a stone basin awaited. "To open the gate, one of you must offer a part of your essence, a memory, a skill, or something that defines you." Darius stepped forward without hesitation. "I will do it," he said. Nia tried to stop him, but he placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder. "This is my family's burden. Let me bear it." Darius knelt before the basin and placed his hands on its cold surface. The guardian's voice echoed, "What will you offer?" Darius closed his eyes. "Take my memories of my mother," he said, his voice breaking. "She protected me, but I cannot move forward if I keep clinging to the past." The basin began to glow, and a faint mist rose from Darius' body, swirling into the carvings on the gate. His face twisted in pain as the memories were taken, but he remained steadfast. The gate creaked open, revealing a dark tunnel beyond. Nia helped him to his feet, her eyes filled with tears. "You didn't have to do that," she whispered. "Yes, I did," Darius replied. "For us." The tunnel led to a cavern filled with an eerie glow. At the center of the room stood a pedestal, and upon it rested the relic, a dagger made of obsidian, its hilt wrapped in gold and etched with ancient runes. The air was heavy with power, and the walls seemed to pulse with a life of their own. Nia approached the dagger cautiously. "This is what the ancestors wanted," she said. "But why does it feel alive?" The guardian's voice echoed through the cavern. "The relic holds the bloodline's curse. To break it, the dagger must taste the blood of both Ajani heirs." Darius paled. "You mean, one of us must?" The guardian's silence was enough. Nia and Darius stood before the relic, their hearts pounding. "There must be another way," Nia pleaded. But the guardian's voice remained resolute. "The curse was born of betrayal and blood. Only through sacrifice can it be undone." Darius took the dagger in his hands, its weight far heavier than he expected. "If this is what it takes to free our families, then so be it," he said, his voice steady, but his eyes betraying his fear. He pressed the blade to his palm, drawing blood. The dagger pulsed with energy, its runes glowing brightly. Nia hesitated, her hands trembling as she took the blade. "I don't want to lose you," she whispered. Darius placed a hand on hers. "We won't lose each other. This is our chance to be free." With a deep breath, Nia drew the blade across her palm. As her blood mingled with Darius on the dagger, a blinding light filled the cavern, and a deafening roar echoed around them. The curse had been broken, but the price of their actions was yet to be revealed. As the light dimmed, the cavern began to quake violently. The walls cracked, and chunks of rock fell from the ceiling. Nia and Darius held onto each other as the pedestal that held the relic crumbled into dust. The dagger, now devoid of its glow, shattered into pieces. "We need to get out of here," Darius shouted over the deafening noise. Together, they raced toward the tunnel entrance, dodging falling debris and navigating the collapsing terrain. The weight of their sacrifice pressed heavily on their hearts, but they knew they couldn't stop now. When they emerged from the sacred caves, dawn was breaking. The village was eerily quiet, as if the earth itself held its breath. The baobab tree stood tall but appeared different. Its bark seemed smoother, and the carvings of generations past had been restored to their original clarity. Nia and Darius approached the tree, their palms still bleeding. Mama Sula, Baba Kofi, and other villagers were gathered beneath its branches. Mama Sula's eyes filled with tears when she saw them. You did it," she whispered. As Nia and Darius stood before the baobab, the wind began to stir, and a deep voice resonated through the village. "You have restored balance to the Ajani bloodline," the ancestors declared. "But balance comes at a cost." The villagers watched in awe as a glowing figure emerged from the tree. It was the spirit of the betrayed brother, his face solemn but peaceful. "Your courage has freed me," he said. "But your bond must end." Nia and Darius' hearts sank at the spirit's words. "What do you mean?" Nia asked, her voice trembling. The spirit's gaze softened. "The curse was tied to the union of bloodlines. For the balance to hold, you must part ways." Darius shook his head. "We've given everything. Isn't there another way?" The spirit's silence was unyielding. Tears streamed down Nia's face as she realized the truth. Their love had saved their families, but it could not save itself. With the curse broken, the village began to flourish. The crops grew healthier, the rivers ran clearer, and the air felt lighter. The villagers celebrated, praising Nia and Darius for their bravery. But amidst the joy, Nia and Darius felt the ache of their impending separation. Mama Sula took Nia's hands. "You have given this village a future." The ancestors will honor you for generations. Nia nodded, but her heart felt heavy. The day of their farewell arrived. Nia and Darius met under the baobab tree where their journey had begun. They spoke of their memories, their dreams, and the sacrifices they had made. "I will always love you," Nia said, her voice breaking. Darius wiped away her tears. "And I will carry you in my heart, no matter where I go." They embraced one last time before walking away, each toward a different path. Nia dedicated herself to healing the village. She became a teacher, sharing the lessons of her journey with the younger generation. The children gathered around her, listening to tales of courage and the power of truth. Her bond with Mama Sula deepened as they worked together to preserve the stories of the ancestors. Nia found solace in her purpose, even as her heart ached for Darius. Darius left Vale to seek his own path. He traveled to distant villages, sharing his story and helping others confront their own burdens. His charisma and wisdom touched many lives, and he became known as a wanderer who brought healing wherever he went. Though he often thought of Nia, he found strength in knowing their sacrifice had brought peace to their families. Years passed, and the story of Nia and Darius became a legend in Vale. The baobab tree stood as a symbol of their courage, its carvings a reminder of the power of truth and sacrifice. The villagers continued to honor the ancestors, ensuring the balance remained intact. Baba Kofi often sat under the tree, telling the tale to new generations. "Their love was a flame that burned brightly," he would say. "But it was their courage that saved us all." One fateful day, years later, Nia and Darius' paths crossed in a bustling marketplace. Their eyes met, and time seemed to stand still. They smiled, their hearts filled with a bittersweet joy. "You look well," Darius said softly. Nia nodded. "So do you." Though they knew they could not stay together, the brief reunion gave them a sense of closure, a reminder that their love had endured despite the odds. After their encounter in the marketplace, Nia and Darius walked together for a short distance, reminiscing about the sacrifices they had made. The pain of separation still lingered, but they spoke with warmth and gratitude for the journey that had shaped them. "Do you ever wonder if things could have been different?" Nia asked. Darius paused, looking at her with a bittersweet smile. "Sometimes. But then I remember that our choices saved lives. The ancestors demanded it, and we answered." As they parted ways again, their hearts carried a strange mixture of sadness and peace. Back in Vale, the baobab tree began to sprout new roots that reached further into the soil, symbolizing the village's renewal. The villagers noticed that the tree bore fruit for the first time in generations. Baba Kofi declared it a sign of the ancestors' approval. Mama Sula, now frail but still sharp, spent her days under the tree, weaving stories for the children. "This tree, it holds our past, but it also promises a future," she would say. The villagers began to see the baobab not just as a symbol of their history, but as a guardian of their unity. Darius' travels brought him to a village plagued by its own cursed traditions. The elders were divided, and the people lived in fear of ancestral wrath. Darius shared the story of Vale and how courage and sacrifice had healed his bloodline. Inspired, the villagers sought to confront their own fears. With Darius' guidance, they performed rituals of forgiveness and reconciliation, breaking their cycle of pain. Darius left the village with a renewed sense of purpose, knowing his journey was far from over. Nia's work in Vale flourished. She established a school near the baobab tree, teaching children the importance of truth and resilience. Her lessons extended beyond academics, instilling a deep respect for the ancestors and the power of unity. One day, a young girl asked her, "Will you ever leave Vale?" Nia smiled, brushing the child's hair. "This village is my home, and the tree is my anchor. My story belongs here, just as yours will." The girl hugged her tightly, and Nia felt a profound sense of fulfillment. The villagers decided to hold an annual festival to honor the breaking of the curse. It was named the Festival of Renewal, and people from neighboring villages came to celebrate. The festival featured music, dancing, and storytelling under the baobab tree. Darius knelt before the guardian. "I will protect it with my life," he vowed. The guardian nodded, fading back into the shadows, leaving Darius with a renewed sense of purpose. Years passed, and a new generation of villagers grew up hearing the stories of Nia and Darius. Among them was a young boy named Kofi, whose curiosity and courage reminded the elders of Darius in his youth. Kofi often sat beneath the baobab tree, asking Baba Kofi endless questions about the past. One day, Kofi asked, "Do you think I could be as brave as Nia and Darius?" Baba Kofi smiled, placing a hand on the boy's shoulder. "Bravery isn't about doing great things. It's about doing what's right, even when it's hard. And yes, you have that within you." Word of the relic's existence began to spread beyond Mbale, reaching a group of treasure seekers who sought to exploit its power. One fateful night, they arrived in the village, demanding the relic's location. Their leader, a man named Okaro, threatened to destroy the baobab tree if the villagers did not comply. The villagers stood united, refusing to betray their sacred trust. Darius confronted Okaro, his voice steady but firm. "The relic is not yours to take. Leave now or face the wrath of the ancestors." Okaro laughed, but as he raised his hand to strike the tree, a gust of wind knocked him off his feet. The wind grew stronger, swirling around the baobab tree as the ground trembled beneath it. The villagers watched in awe as the tree's roots began to glow faintly. Okaro and his men fled in terror, realizing they had underestimated the power of the ancestors. Darius, holding the relic close, whispered a prayer of gratitude. The villagers cheered, their faith in the tree and the ancestors stronger than ever. Baba Kofi declared, "The tree and the relic are bound by the spirits. They will protect us as long as we honor them." Darius knew his time in Vale was drawing to a close. He called a gathering under the baobab tree to bid farewell to the villagers. "This village will always be my home," he said, his voice heavy with emotion. "But the relic must be kept safe, far from those who would misuse it." The villagers embraced him, their tears a mix of sorrow and gratitude. Baba Kofi handed Darius a small carved figure of the baobab tree. "Take this as a reminder of where you come from," he said. Darius nodded, tucking the figure into his satchel before setting off on his journey. Darius traveled for months, searching for a place where the relic could be hidden forever. He eventually found a hidden valley surrounded by towering cliffs, untouched by human hands. There, he built a small shrine and placed the relic inside, sealing it with a prayer to the ancestors. As he left the valley, he felt a sense of peace, knowing the relic was safe. The journey had taken its toll, but he carried the memory of Mbale and Nia with him, a constant source of strength. Back in Vale, the baobab tree seemed to radiate a newfound energy. Villagers reported seeing visions of Nia and Darius beneath its branches, their faces serene and full of light. The elders believed it was the ancestors' way of showing their blessing. Mama Sula, in her final days, sat beneath the tree, her gaze fixed on the horizon. There at peace, she whispered to the children gathered around her. "And so are we." The villagers continued to honor the tree, its roots a symbol of their enduring legacy. The Festival of Renewal grew into a grand event celebrated by neighboring villages. It became known as the Festival of Generations, honoring not only Nia and Darius, but all who had contributed to Mbale's growth and unity. During the festival, Baba Kofi, now an elder among elders, led a procession to the baobab tree. "This tree holds our past, our present, and our future," he declared. "May we always remember the sacrifices made to protect it." The villagers cheered, their voices rising in harmony. Decades later, the story of Nia and Darius continued to inspire. The baobab tree stood taller than ever, its roots intertwining with the lives of every villager. Kofi, now a grown man, became the village's storyteller, ensuring the tale was never forgotten. One night, as Kofi sat beneath the tree, he felt a gentle breeze and heard a faint whisper. "Thank you," it said. He smiled, knowing the voices of Nia and Darius still lingered, watching over their beloved village. The story of the bride who married her brother became more than a tale of tragedy and sacrifice. It became a testament to the power of love, unity, and the enduring strength of a community bound by its roots. And so, the legacy of Nia and Darius lived on, forever etched in the heart of Mbale.